Hello everyone to the first discussion in the big reset. I'm experiencing some technical issues. Is everything okay now? Okay, so we start really. Tonight we're opening the first track, which is our micro track. We're going to discuss the opportunities for the tech ecosystem in the current crisis situation. As you already know from the whole campaign around the big reset, we decided to focus a bit more on the opportunities and not on the downsides of the crisis. And we have found that there might be opportunities on the one side for us as an ecosystem and for the other for us as businesses, as individuals, as a society. And tonight, here with me, at a safe distance online, I have 6 of the most acknowledged minds in our tech ecosystem. One of them, and the first one which I'm going to introduce, is Vasco Teresev. I guess you already know him, but still maybe a couple of sentences about him. Vasco is co-founded Telerik and was its CEO until the exit to Progress. And this is probably one of the big success stories in the local tech sector. At present, he is one of the most active angel investors and managing partner at 11 Ventures, an early-stage VC fund. He is also a co-founder of Telerik Academy, which is the leading educational initiative for digital technologies in Bulgaria. And maybe because that's not enough for him, he is also additionally the co-founder of Campus X, the biggest incubator for technology startups and scale-ups in Southeastern Europe. Next to me, also on the screen, is Ivailo Slavov, also a very well-known person in the tech sector in Bulgaria. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's one very experienced corporate executive. He has more than 20 years of experience in international experience in the fields of IT, financial services, IT outsourcing, business process outsourcing, human resources. Ivailo is also the CEO of Bullpros and currently spearheading more than 1,000 employees in 20 offices across North America and Europe. He is the founding member of the Business Council of Growing Europe and a board member of the Association for Innovation, Business Excellence, Services and Technology, in short, IBEST. I like the name really much. And he's also a board member in the American Chamber of Commerce in Bulgaria, AmCham. The third speaker tonight is Vasco Kolev. He's a business and technology leader with 15 years of experience in the IT sector. He's currently the vice president of product and developer tooling at Progress we have mentioned tonight already. He's responsible for a team of 150 software engineers, technical support engineers, product managers, product marketers, and UX designers, which are based in the US and in Bulgaria. A bit more different maybe from the others because he is not really that much part of the tech sector, but also a very well-known figure in the public space is Sen Vasilev. He's the co-founder and lecturer at the Center for Economic Strategy and Competitiveness in Sofia, which is affiliated to the Institute of Competitiveness at Harvard. He's a consultant, an entrepreneur, and also a former caretaker of the Ministry for Economy, Energy and Tourism. Sen Vasilev has graduated economics at Harvard University and specialized in business administration, law, at the Harvard Business School and Harvard Law School. Thank you. Next to him, you will see Mishu Mateev. Mishu Mateev is a very well-known figure in the developers community, in the Java developers community especially. He has a PhD in cloud computing, and he's also a university lecturer on smart homes and smart energy IoT solutions. He's currently Microsoft regional director and the organizer of the SQL Saturday, where we actually have met some years ago in Vienna. I remember that very well. He's also the organizer of the Azure Bootcamp, IoT, and JavaScript conferences. He has experience in various areas related to Microsoft technologies, including Windows platform and MS SQL Server, Microsoft Azure, and so on and so forth. And then we have also another very different profile. Here with us is Vladimir Danielov. Vladimir Danielov, he's currently the deputy mayor of Sofia for Innovation, Digital Transformation and Economic Development. He holds an MBA from the American University in Bulgaria, a master's degree in HR management from the Technical University in Sofia, and also a bachelor degree in industrial management from the same university. Vladi's professional experience has been in real estate, in manufacturing, trading, and also other sectors. And up until the end of last year, he was the CEO of the municipal agency Sofia Invest, which is still responsible for promoting the Sofia as an investment destination. According to his Crunchbase profile, and we were a bit surprised that we found a Crunchbase profile for him. He has a strong background in entrepreneurship, in business development, and also deep interest in startups. So here we have put 6 very different profiles from each other. And our main goal is to discuss how are we going to manage this transition in our ecosystem from an outsourcing destination to a destination or an economy with an added value. Let's say an innovation hub. We can discuss this. Do we have the capabilities and the resources for that? In the past years, Bulgaria has become a very popular outsourcing destination. This business started with telephone and transaction-related services, which depended mostly on manpower. Gradually, we have experienced a technological transition, which required more skilled professionals to provide various IT services and software development. This has not only boosted the local knowledge economy, but has also attracted world-class companies, which opened their shared services and R&D centers in Bulgaria. So what we can observe right now is that we have this steady development towards a higher added value. But we can also observe limitations in resources. And here, maybe we should name just the sheer number of available talent on the market. The competition for the best talent has increased, and with it also the cost for labor. And I would like to address my first question to Ivailo, who is maybe very versed in the topic of outsourcing. What is the effect of the current corona crisis on the local IT outsourcing industry? How do you expect it will develop in the future as the economic impact of the pandemic unfolds?
Hello to everyone. And I'm really proud to be part of this very interesting panel and interesting discussion. Discussion about the creation of a value-added economy. It started earlier days. And for sure, the outsourcing business was a very good vehicle for our country to move on the path of being successful in IT, technology, and other industries. I think that currently the wording for that is called reshoring. I mean, everybody is talking about reshoring. And reshoring means, earlier days it was right-shoring, it was offshoring, nearshoring. I mean, there was many wordings, many words which was used for that. However, the reshoring means that what we faced in the coronavirus times is something which was following very significant technology developments in the past years. I mean, one of the most significant technology developments in the past years was the moving to the cloud. Because I would say that the biggest portion of our software industry, of all the applications, of all the solutions, of everything was moving to the cloud in the last years. And when 5 years ago the cloud was something which was like word and everything coming from the States, everybody is facing that most of the all created new stuff is based on cloud technology and so on and so forth. Cloud technology paired with everything would become remote in the last days during the corona crisis and the pandemic crisis, which is completely new experience to all of us, is something that I think we have to consider as the new wave of reshoring. This new wave.
We have a dropout with Ivo, maybe because of the
Reshoring is
connection.
something.
Okay, he's back. Ivo, we lost you for a second. Maybe you can repeat the last sentence. I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. I said that everything what is related to reshoring is about new ways of working. It's about how to support all the cloud environments which are set up, how to do this remote, how to change the models of working, and this will have the impact of every industry and in the outsourcing industry in particular for sure.
Mm. My next question I would like to ask, or I would like to address Vladi and Asen. If we observe the development in the IT sector towards higher added value, what should be the next step? Should we focus on developing our own products, intellectual property, R&D, and boosting innovation? Or should we focus on attracting foreign companies that outsource such to Bulgaria? What do you believe should be our innovation resource management strategy? I will maybe
first.
Yeah, Vladi, because I see that you're ready to answer, I'm giving you the word.
All right, thank you. I don't think that it should be one thing or another. We should focus on both. From one side, we should stimulate the local companies to develop their products, to cultivate the product development skill. And I think we already passed a long way in that. It's in the mentality of our local entrepreneurs lately that here in Sofia, in Bulgaria, we invent and develop products here. Here today at the call, we have representatives from companies that are developed or developing products. And it was not like this, or it was not that massively 10 years ago. So our companies already have the self-esteem that here we can produce solutions and products with global application. We have fully grown startup ecosystem which encourages product development. At least the ecosystem was very well developing before the COVID crisis, and I believe very shortly we are going to find our way. And the other thing is, of course, we need to attract foreign organizations and companies because we learn from them. Remember, like 15 years ago, when the first global multinational companies came here to do outsourcing, we learned from them. So it's good also to attract organizations. And it's very important to attract organizations or multinational companies that are missing here. Organizations that are the missing components of the local ecosystems. And of course, it's better for us to attract companies that are looking for co-innovation, that the companies that are creators of solutions and that would like to develop products and services together with local companies. And on the second part of your questions, of course, we aspire Sofia to be a technologically advanced city with an excellent business environment and quality of life. We want the city to be globally recognized as a market and innovation. So now we are having this conversation in the last 2 months, for probably the fourth and the fifth time. Now is the time for us to really start to tell this story and really promote our city and our country in that way.
Thank you. Asen, you also have experience with foreign innovation ecosystems. What do you think? Should we focus a bit more on own product development or attracting the right businesses, as Vladi said?
Maybe I'll start with a little bit of history. I've been hiring developers in Bulgaria since 2004, which was the time when it was mainly outsourcing with a couple of product companies. And I've seen how the ecosystem changed over the past 15 years, where we now have a very healthy mix of companies with their own products, including a lot of world-class leading companies. And then we have quite a few R&D outsourcing. So it's not quite outsourcing. It's not for the labor cost. It's for the fact that we actually can provide really good, high-quality product, especially in low-level technologies, algorithmic work, C++, some of the graphics work, and the gaming industry, for sure. What I've seen in Bulgaria, though, is that most of our companies tend to be B2B. I don't think we have many B2C companies, maybe again excluding a few companies in the gaming industry. And that is related to the fact that in order to innovate, you need to be plugged into the market. If you're not close to the market, if you're not close to the customer, it's very hard to innovate. There are very few success stories where you innovate in a bubble and suddenly you come up with something great and it goes into the market and it's successful. Usually it takes several iterations and tinkering with the product, continuously monitoring what's happening in the market in order to innovate successfully. And Bulgaria is a very small B2C market. And being in Bulgaria, we're a little bit cut off from the US or from Western Europe, which is why a lot of the successful product companies tend to have business units somewhere in Western Europe or in the US and development unit in Bulgaria and set up really good links between the two. And the companies that are entirely based in Bulgaria or mainly based in Bulgaria tend to be B2B with very deep niche expertise in specific industries. Like Chaos Group, for example, in the 3D rendering space, and like Telerik and Progress had in the developer tools, which are pretty niche industries where they've developed very big expertise and have become world leaders and are close to those communities without having to be physically present. So the way I would approach that is say, okay, if we want to innovate, what are the industries that we can innovate in? What are the industries where we can be closer to the market or where we have specific challenges that we've met or specific resources that we have that are relatively unique and relatively rare in the grand scheme of things? We've seen that algorithmic work we tend to do a lot of, and we tend to innovate low-level work. Even in the outsourcing, a lot of the outsourcing tends to be very close to the hardware, C++, and not the generic business process that tended to be outsourced in, for example, India. So that's one line of thinking. The other line of thinking is if we want to attract companies to come to Sofia, why would they come here? What will attract them? What's specific about Sofia that will make it more interesting for those companies to come here as opposed to London or Frankfurt or all the other places? And part of it is that we have more fun. Part of it is that we have lower taxes. But I don't think that that's enough because for those companies, if they're innovative, it's again very important to be close to their market. From that perspective, we need to think what are the specific markets here, specific larger industries outside of IT that are not being even served by the IT industry in Bulgaria yet, that might be buying stuff from abroad because we haven't made that link to the rest of our industries and to the rest of our neighboring industries. So the way I would approach that problem is, one, what are the kinds of resources and the kinds of problems that we are good at solving? And from what I've seen, and I actually welcome opinions from the rest of the panel, I've seen algorithmic work and I've seen tooling that we're very good at. I've seen some of the game designs and that sort of work that we're good at. I haven't seen many B2C applications come out of Bulgaria or platforms. And then on the other side, what are companies that are interested in that sort of work, in deep research, in high computational intensity, in high quality, high level computer programming, not just slapping something together quickly that looks nice. And that have deep computational problems, for example, I don't know, bioinformatics or some of those big problems. And those are the types of companies that we can attract, not only with it's nice in Sofia and we have low taxes, but actually have specialized skill sets and specialized talents to address those specific needs of those companies. And quite frankly, if you're going to put a high-powered algorithmic team in the world somewhere, you probably have 5 or 6 cities that you can put it in, and Sofia is one of them. And that's a very big competitive advantage, very hard to replicate by Berlin or by London.
Thank you. So focusing on the niches where we could be really strong and then doing them really good, yeah? If I could summarize it.
And of course, communicate that across the world. We should be really very vocal. I completely agree to Asen that pretty much we really need to identify. Of course, we are not a huge country, and probably we are a destination of niche businesses, but come on, I mean, sometimes the niches are large enough so it could offset the whole ecosystem. So pretty much we really need to identify that and be vocal enough so the world knows about us and choose Bulgaria.
Which is also part of our work here at Trending Topics. But maybe I would like to continue also to the next speaker and also to my next question. You have already mentioned it, that in the course of 5 to 6 years, we have developed a rather already mature startup ecosystem, or at least it's more mature than the others in the region. And more companies succeed also in the product market fit to enter other markets, to scale, to grow. But after the huge success of Telerik, we still really miss an inspiring example of maybe a unicorn or like a second such a large success. And because I know that the topic is very important also to Vasco, I would like to start with him or ask him the question. Do you see in our ecosystem the necessary resources to give birth to internationally successful product company? And in which sectors? What are the limitations that have actually stopped us from having this kind of success so far?
Well, I think that one of the biggest challenges that has stopped us from being successful with our young age as an ecosystem, we still have a lot to grow, a lot to learn, a lot to build until we start seeing results. As I've said many times in other webinars and meetings, it's like planting a tree. You plant it and then you have to wait quite a few years until you start having fruit, and over a decade to start getting really good fruit. And it's the same with an ecosystem. Now, the good news is that compared to, say, 10 years ago, we have an ecosystem. I wouldn't call it mature, and I definitely I'm a believer that it's very fragile and it has to be attended to very carefully. But at least we have everything that's needed. You have the venture capital to get you started. You have the talent in many ways, in many aspects, especially the technology talent, which is key if you are building technology businesses. You have a community in many ways, hundreds of people, thousands of people connected, talking about different things, whether it's product management, etc. You have more or less connections which are built to external ecosystems, and you even have the inklings of corporates starting to work with startups on a local level. So in terms of the essence, we have it. Now, the challenges that we face are largely related with missing infrastructure that we didn't need to before. When most of the business was outsourcing, you really didn't need some of the talent which is critical when you're building a technology product company. Roles like product management, product marketing, user experience. It wasn't that long ago, 2013, when we at Telerik started understanding what those acronyms meant. We were a product company for many years, and we still had not developed formally those disciplines. And now working with startups, you see a very recurring story. Amazing technology, great, very strong technical founders who have done lots of quality work in their former companies. But the knowledge of how to build a business from a technology is still missing. And that's where all those things around product strategy come in. That's when, once you get to the product market fit, you start seeing another type of problems, which is sales, marketing, really how to up your go-to-market efforts. And then finally, you hit something that we at Telerik also struggled with. It's really having a strong pool of managerial talent, which enables you to grow very fast. Because if you're on the right trajectory, you grow double, triple every year. And for that, you need people who have managerial talent in a product company environment. And you don't have too many of those. Now, the good news is that quite a few companies are doing well, and they're following the playbook of how to get to product market fit. We see companies more and more successful in attracting financing from top investors in the region and the world. So it's just a matter of cycles to really get things to where they should be, so that we are a bigger dot on the world map. And that's why I see our collective role to address the big challenge, which is understand that we are like a government. We have to build the infrastructure together. It's not, nobody can do it on their own. No single company, no single VC fund, no single support organization. And we all have to be careful about how to bring in capital, how to insource knowledge, how to transfer that knowledge within the ecosystem to as big a base as we can, how to connect the different dots, because that's what makes an ecosystem. It's having all the ingredients doesn't lead to a cooked meal. And what has value is the cooked meal. So we have to work for this together, and we have to teach and promote the spirit to everyone that today they're on the receiving end, but tomorrow they have to be on the giving end with their money, with their time, with their connections, and to try to do it as unselfishly as possible. Because the more cycles we're able to do using this approach, where we try to connect the dots, connect them from Bulgaria to the outside world, will benefit quite a bit. And to address two big things which are missing today, and which you can see in all other places that we look up to, where you have a lot of innovation. You can't do large-scale innovation if the corporate sector is not plugged in and does not work very closely with the innovative ecosystem. And you can't see that working well if there's no connection between the innovative ecosystem and the government, because it's just strange to have people selling products to corporates and to government outside of Bulgaria, and the Bulgarian ecosystem not leveraging those innovative product companies, not leveraging those service companies, which is a very big missed opportunity, because this would shorten the path to validating many of the ideas, many of the concepts, even on a small scale, locally. And then, exporting the success and scaling it outside. So overall, I believe that we have the foundation. We just have to arm ourselves with patience and to continue investing in every company that can make it, in all the people that are trying to make a difference, in all the people who are trying to address the knowledge gap, because their success translates to the success of others. And last but not least, educate entrepreneurs about the responsibility of paying it forward.
Would you say that in a way alignment and coordination between the different stakeholders of the ecosystem that you have already mentioned would help, and how such an alignment could look like? Because I think I think for all of us it's pretty clear that we need stronger alignment between us, but what we are failing to is to actually to build such a structure, such an organization.
I actually believe that the organization is there. You have a lot of support organizations which are helping align the different actors, whether it's Vasco, whether it's BVCA, whether it's iBest, and really helping us understand that we have to work together, all those different stakeholders. What always helps is really finding alignment around economic interests, because human beings, you build habits, especially in business, very easily if you see the opportunity. So it's really about giving it the benefit of the doubt that it's going to pay off for everyone. It's just a long-term game. So you just have to sacrifice a little bit of the short term for the long term. I don't think there's any easy way to do it other than believing that that's the right thing to do, and looking at the history of other ecosystems, what has happened. Even looking at the history of our own IT sector, which was small, which was laughing stock for many people, and now is a major driver of growth, poised to grow a lot more. Nobody believed in it, but it happened. Why? Because people understood that once they move together, they can achieve quite a bit more. It just takes time.
Thank you. Going back to the other side of the story, with companies who are attracted to Bulgaria for R&D outsourcing or nearshoring, or I actually didn't forget the name that you used, Ivailo, but what we are hearing from around is that the current situation is forcing companies globally to cut on spendings in R&D, and that this might in a way turn into an opportunity for the Bulgarian tech sector if we manage to position ourselves properly. What is our competitive advantage in the competition with other countries to attract them? What do you think? And what kind of companies should we be attracting? And here, I actually would like to start with Misho, because he already has an experience in a project like that.
Everyone, very good question. Thank you. I think that really we have good advantages now, because many companies really are oriented to cut the cost of R&D. In this situation, we are one of the places where it is possible. But from another hand, we have this good situation now that already we are able more and more to work remotely. In the past, one of the big challenges was that for main technologies, for the core teams, usually we were in difficult situation, because most of the core teams expected people to be at the same location. Now, it is much better, because we are able actually to have the same. Everyone works remotely. And when it is proven that it gives results, it is already proven, actually, we will be able to continue to do the same. So we have from one side very good customer facing for people who work in Bulgaria, our community. Our mindset is quite good related to other regions. Our competitive probably is not the right name, but similar countries and other places in the region, we are quite good in communication with customers. We are result oriented, and definitely Bulgaria is one very good location. We have some disadvantages, but these disadvantages are for the whole region. As Vasco Teresev mentioned, we have some gaps in competency around product ownership. It is something which we need to build, but it is in many places. Actually, only the most developed locations really have good experience with this. And we have probably need to grow additionally local experience to have more solution architects, more technology consultants, but it will happen step by step. Probably one of the most challenging things is how to involve in this good opportunity more junior people, because now when we when we work remotely, it is pretty easy for good specialists who have experience and know how to work, have self management, to work with the most advanced teams worldwide. But it will be more difficult for people with less experience, and for this reason, these people need to be actually trained. They need to grow their experience. So, as I can say, we have very good opportunities, and we need to get the best. We have some gaps. We can work in this direction, but it is up to the local business actually to make this.
Vladi, you have been involved in attracting such companies as CEO of the Sofia Invest agency. What can you share? What is the story that you're telling companies like that?
Well, sure. Yeah, one of the improvements in the last couple of years is that together with the business associations, even the ones that are present today, we changed the model. We no longer sit and wait for some investors to come and find us to hear that Bulgaria is cheap, Sofia is cheap, but pretty much we are trying to proactively knock on their doors and support them to do their due diligence, to assess the local environment, and to really help them see the opportunities here. And like global organizations are in a constant mode of expansion. Today or tomorrow, they are going to decide that they need new destination, and probably they are going to choose Sofia. I think what we are doing today at this conference, we are preparing our homework. Definitely, the current situation is already bringing turbulence on the global arena. Definitely, we should be very active, very vocal about the advantages of Sofia in Bulgaria. We should communicate very clearly the brand of Sofia and Bulgaria, but the brand that we want to articulate, not the brand that some foreign journalists or an issue speculate about Sofia in Bulgaria sometimes. And of course, show a multinational company organization decided to look for another destination. We need to be ready to host them on the city level, on the associations level, and of course the network of businesses. Talking about advantages, I would enhance that we have a very good mix of product development skill. We are very international. Still, for the years to come, even this crisis helps that we will be a little bit more competitive in terms of price. Still, we don't have to put that first. Of course, all the things that we all know, that we are part of the European Union, business-friendly environment, low taxes and rates. But very important, we have a very good quality of life. We beat all so-called competitors in Europe: Warsaw, Prague, Bucharest. Global R&D and ICT leaders are already in Sofia: SAP Labs, VMware, IBM, Cisco, Bosch, Coca-Cola R&D. Financial Times chose Sofia for their Southeastern hub. Last week, actually, I had a call with the executive director, and they have an office in Sofia, and they said, you did very well with the measures against COVID. And if the world continue to have viruses or epidemics like this, probably you should implement this in your branding. So Sofia should be also branded a very safe city. So those are some of the key advantages of Sofia, not to mention the 23 universities, the over 1,000 university students only. But very importantly, we need to probably even select the companies that are coming here. Those should be companies that are creators of solutions, that are willing to co-create with local companies, that are willing to develop new products and services, and of course, companies that are specifically related to ICT, innovation, deep tech, high-value manufacturing, everything that we would like to develop. So this is my input for that.
Thank you. Maybe co-creation, co-innovation is a key word. I would like to ask also Vasco the same question because, of course, bringing multinational companies here might turn out to be a competition for the startups, especially when it comes to talent. So what kind of companies should we be attracting to Bulgaria? What do you think, Vasco?
Well, first, just a note that this is a side job for me, trying to help companies select Bulgaria. And in addition to everything that the other panelists said, I believe we have a very big advantage in the community and the ethos that we've built together. And especially people who come from places where there is a community, say the Valley, see that we're doing all the right things and that it will come to fruition. And many of the people who made bets years ago that Sofia is going to develop into a regional and European technology hub, their bets are starting to pay off. So I always sell them on the future, on the availability to talent, because one thing that we've done well is that there's many organizations who in different ways are working to create more capable people. Whether we can do more, probably, but at least there's massive investment by everyone, and including the companies. They understand that the talent problem is their own. It's not of the government, it's not of somebody else. They are the biggest beneficiaries of this talent, so they have to fix what's missing, invest into creating more of it. And this is always a big plus for companies that are coming to Sofia. The other thing. Can you hear me, guys? Sorry, I had a phone call.
It's not a problem.
The other thing is what Vladi said, that it's very important to attract the right people. And one of the conversations we have with all the people who want to come to Sofia is around the topic of being a good citizen. And that if they come as good citizens to share knowledge, to invest in the talent, to attract junior people, to teach them, to share their knowledge in user groups, and just plug themselves rather than raid the local system for talent, that the local ecosystem and all the stakeholders will be their best friends and will support them. And luckily, in the last 5-6 years, we've had many companies come in who followed that playbook and who've embedded themselves and are good citizens and are enriching the local ecosystem. So it's really a very important self-selection bias, because we will be who, based on the values, based on the people, the companies that we attract and that we support. So really, that's something that all of us can do. It's really pushing everyone around a specific set of values, especially the newcomers, so that every new company is additive versus somebody who breaks what was built by many others years ago.
Thank you. That was an interesting insight. Values is an important topic. I would like to turn the conversation a bit more towards home and maybe look at the talent which is available in Bulgaria, because it's a critical factor when you build an innovation ecosystem. And here I would like to ask maybe Vesco, Misho, and Ivo, what note would you give to the local IT talent in terms of skills for product ownership, product development, product management from the classical scala in Bulgaria 2 to 6? And if we want to improve this, what do we need to change? Is it education? Is it organizational structure? Is it attracting the right companies to Bulgaria who are going to help us building such talent? Is it just maybe it's a mindset? What is it? Vasco, maybe I should give the word to you because you haven't had the chance to join the conversation yet. Let's start with you.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. So your question, what is the level of sophistication that we've managed to achieve so far in building products? I think that one thing that it's very important to reiterate is that once we build more companies, more product companies, the more we practice it, the better we become. So I think it's important to rate us depending on the number of iterations that we've built. It's unfair to compare us to like places where they had, let's say, 100 iterations. In my view, we are faster, to be honest with you, in our development because there are a lot of people that are investing, as Vasil and everyone else on that call, are investing a lot of time and effort to share knowledge. And I think that the key here is not to grade us, let's say we're 4 or 5 or something like this. The key is to increase even further the speed of development of those critical roles, as mentioned already, like product management, product marketing, user experience, and so on. What needs to happen to accelerate that process? I think that the word mindset is a very critical one. One of the things that I really love about the IT ecosystem for the most part is that it employs a lot of people with a growth mindset, or in other words, people that don't believe that the intelligence and talent are fixed traits. Even the opposite. In its totality, the local IT system, I think, is comprised by people that believe that they can learn everything as long as they put the needed effort and deliberate effort. And why is that very important? Because how many, let's say, developers you've seen that say, I don't know and I cannot do it? I mean, everyone says, give me a few hours, I'll think about it, I'll look for a solution. And that's why we were able to solve all those algorithmic problems that were mentioned earlier. So to me, the mindset, if I have to conclude the first part, the mindset is one very important part. We should spread more the growth mindset. The second thing, which was mentioned by the other panelists in certain way, was the notion of taking accountability, meaning we shouldn't excuse whatever is happening here with anything but ourselves. We should take in control our destiny. And once you look into what's in front of you from the perspective of how I'm complicit about the things that the circumstances that led to this situation, as an example, and try to improve whatever is in front of you, I think this is very empowering position. So I think that this is the second thing of the mindset that we need to do. And the third thing that I think will help us improve tremendously is I think we should get 1 or 2 levels more structured as an ecosystem in terms of how we share knowledge. One beautiful thing about our ecosystem is that we are very united. As Vasil and others have shared, a lot of effort has been put into uniting the ecosystem. And I think the next step is how to structure our knowledge in a way that can be reused even further. There are a lot of challenges that are faced, very similar challenges that are faced by different companies. We are not competitors between each other, we support each other. So I think we should structure our knowledge better. and identify the best methodologies that are known today for the different pieces of the product discovery, product development, and then go to market and scaling. I think we should structure those more and share knowledge and share experiments, and thus improve significantly our rate of success in those areas.
Michel, the same question would go to you. How do we build on our capabilities to build products?
I can put some numbers. My understanding and experience is that we are probably in the middle, even below the mid-level, because of some logical reasons. First, history, that we started with outsourcing, and less accountability. Now things are going better, but which are the challenges? First, yes, in our education is not very well positioned exactly this experience, so we can improve this in both universities and independent academies. From another hand, business also are starting step by step to build this expertise, but it stays natural because we need to have more ownership, and ownership is given based on the trust, and it happens already. It is better, but still we have not so good experience like in some Western regions. It is quite normal. From another hand, we have good people with potential who quite often lose the opportunity to grow their skills in this direction because of just good opportunities to start work and earn good money from the beginning, just doing some work. So probably we need to promote more these good opportunities. If people stay more focused on growing this experience, they will be able in the future to reach much more good opportunities. They will be able to put our business on different level. So it is up to us.
Ivo, what do you think? How do we build on
Yeah.
product expertise?
I have to share a couple of good news. I mean, first of all, I think from 2 to 6, many occasions we are between 5 and 6. I spent my time in working in more than 30 countries so far, and I can compare quite well what are the skills and abilities of the people. There are a couple of things that we miss. I think Vasco was talking a lot about missing product management, the missing skills. I mean, the missing knowledge, the missing maturity in certain areas. And I think I will not elaborate on that more, because everything what was mentioned was completely fine, completely clear. But what I can say is the other thing what is missing is, and this is completely typical for smaller markets and for more mature markets, is the self-awareness. I mean, if the people believe more in themselves, and I think Vasco was talking about the same thing, most of the cases, but if the people are believing more about themselves, they will be much more competitive. Because talking about skills, we are not behind anybody. We're completely competitive worldwide. And we have to create a couple more things. I mean, as the previous speakers talk, our ecosystem is not that mature so far. We are not that competitive so far. One of the limitations for sure is that we are coming from a smaller market, which is preventing the success in that speed as bigger markets can make it. This is why everything is in the Silicon Valley and not in Bulgaria. But on the other hand side, talking skills, knowledge, possibilities, I think we're working heavily on that to be worldwide competitive. And good news is we're already in the global network. We're part of that. And I think there are a couple of good examples, and we have to work on them, make them more, and to push good ideas are becoming reality and becoming worldwide competitive products. That's my knowledge. I mean, I'm completely happy with all the talent we found so far. I'm completely happy with what is the baseline and what we can start from. And we have to elaborate, we have to teach, we have to bring the people to knowledge, and we have to do a lot of work actually in order to make things happen. But on the other hand side, I don't see any limitations to be competitive worldwide.
Mm. So Ivo is quite happy with the talent here in Bulgaria. Very good. I'm a bit surprised that this factor wasn't mentioned before that. But if we take an example of other innovation ecosystems, innovation leaders in Europe, one of the other critical factors is creating an environment where high-tech products and that when there are structures between the business and academia to work together in R&D, in developing IP, in developing high-tech products. How important would it be in the local environment that we stimulate scientists and science and businesses working together? Vladi, what do you think?
Well, I think, sure, this is the classic way how innovation happens. It's a collaboration between science, academia, and business, sorry. And as we are becoming better in product development, more and more companies realize the importance of collaboration between the academia and the business sector, and of course the city too. So the collaboration between scientists and business is a key for innovation, of course. It unites the best from both worlds. And of course, it should be encouraged. And the city, it's our role. We have an important role to, to induce that and to stimulate that. Mm-hmm. To continue the words of Vasco Teresev from a few minutes ago, in general, the synergy, not only between the business and the academia, but also national and the local government, the NGO sector, and the wide range of various stakeholders is crucial condition for Bulgaria and Sofia's digital and innovative transformation. So this was one of the key principles behind the digital transformation strategy of Sofia. Probably we talked about it earlier, which was developed again with over 100 local stakeholders from all these sectors. And since I mentioned the strategy for digital transformation, again, going back to the Vasco Teresev's words, the city is now aware that it's a huge opportunity for the local government to have such developed technology sector in the city, and it's in our priorities to leverage the knowledge of the local companies for the benefit of the society. Of course, that stimulates the innovative potential of the local ecosystem.
Mm. Asen, you're maybe a bit even closer to the academia sector. How can we stimulate the transfer of knowledge between academia and businesses in Bulgaria?
I'm actually quite far away, I'll say. The program that we're running with Kirill is essentially, we're running it in our spare time with the students that come through the program every year. About 400 have been through it. A lot of them work in the companies that are represented here or in the ecosystem. And I say, in theory, it would be great to have coordination between academia and the IT sector. In practice, the IT sector that we have is, let's say, not even between 5 and 6. In some instances, it's 7 on the 6 scale. We have companies that have 20-30% market share in the world coming up Bulgaria. We simply don't know about them. And we don't have a single university in the top 1,000 in the world. So I think what's happening is a lot of the Bulgarian companies are coordinating very well with specific people they're coordinating very well with institutions outside of Bulgaria. But I think coordination with institutions inside of Bulgaria is non-existent. And if we try to push it, it will actually be a waste of time, simply because the institutions are not up to scratch. And it's going to be very hard for the companies to work with the institutions. That's why the IT industry in the last 10 years has essentially developed parallel structure for education. It has developed parallel structure for knowledge transfer. It has developed parallel structure for talent hunting, and is completely non-reliant. And I'd say the dialogue with the government is non-existent. Dialogue with the universities, I'd say, is almost non-existent. And with the exception of a couple of schools like the Sofia Math School, that brings out a lot of good students, and a couple of faculties at some of the universities where the top students are really well educated in specific profiles that were there since the mid-80s. I'd say that most of what we see in terms of academia gives very limited potential for coordination and work together. Also, unlike the rest of Europe, and thankfully, we are not reliant on government grants, we are not reliant on government subsidies, we are not reliant on Euro funds, and we don't engage in Me Too strategies. And if you look at the European landscape, that's about 90-95% of all the IT business in Europe is that. Either copying what the Americans did for the German market, or finding ways to get European funds or European grants or government subsidies, or working for some of the government monopolies because it needs to be made there. And as a result, Europe as a whole has a big problem in the IT sphere, especially when you compare it to the US, even if you compare it to China. There are very few companies in Europe that can create large-scale products. And I think that a lot of those companies, or not a lot, but a handful of those companies are actually in Bulgaria. And the fact that we don't know about them is partly because those companies don't want to be known, which should tell us a lot about the environment in many ways. They're known in the IT sphere, they're not generally known, and there is a good reason for that, because when you become known in Bulgaria, you usually attract problems as opposed to attracting praise.
That's quite disturbing, yeah. Thank you, Hassan. Maybe going back a bit more to the main question about fostering innovation, and maybe we can try to be a bit more try to be practical in the answers. And my next question would go to Vasco and Ivo. Can you name me like 3 business initiatives that would help local enterprises foster innovation and product development? What would these 3 initiatives be?
Start?
Yes, go.
Okay, thank you. So 3 initiatives. I think that when it comes to innovation, the first and most important thing, in my view, is to have a very clear understanding about the theory of innovation, the laws and the principles behind innovation. Why is that important? Because for whatever reason, data is available only for the past, right? And the more theory we can apply, the better we'll be able to predict the future with a higher probability. So if I throw this pen up, it will fall down, and I can predict it with 100% certainty, right? It's the similar thing with innovation. So there are different types of innovations. An example of categorization of innovation is the Clayton Christensen's disruptive innovation theory, who distinguishes between 3 types of innovation: disruptive innovation, sustaining innovation, and efficiency innovation. And to be very short, if you cannot do disruption, which is a market creation innovation, you cannot do it with applying the same principles and processes that are used in sustaining innovation. Sustaining innovation is pretty much making good products better. The market is known, while in the disruptive innovation, that's not the case. So the first practical thing that I would say to companies is know the game that you're playing. That's the first thing. The second thing is foster foster creativity and foster the growth mindset. The reason why the growth mindset is very important in innovating is that when you believe that if you are with the fixed mindset and you believe that you're as smart as you are, when you fail, this means that you are a failure. And when you do innovation, it's very important to know that the chances that you will fail are very high, and you have to employ the growth mindset, which says when you fail, right, this is an opportunity to learn. And I think that's the second very important thing. Leaders should let people fail and learn, not repeat the mistakes, right? You should learn and foster learning, because this will give us the ability to do more iterations. So you have the theory, which gives you the experimentation ground. Then you do the experiments, you learn from those failures. And I think that the third thing that I would like to share is that in its core, innovation is all about combining existing ideas that nobody has connected to already. And this thing is a cognitive skill called associative thinking. And funny enough, this skill can be developed by practicing 4 behavioral skills that can be done by anyone. So those skills are questioning, observing, experimenting, and networking. And I think that once companies understand that everything boils down to those 5 things, 5 skills, and practicing those 4 behavioral skills, I think that this can produce far more creativity that can be employed in the theory and can be employed in the experimentation, and this will ultimately drive more iterations, thus quicker climb to the next level, to the next level, to the next level of the product management mastery. This is my high-level advice.
Quite scientific approach to innovation. What about you, Ivailo? What do you think? How can you foster innovation as how can we foster innovation as businesses in the ecosystem? Ivo, we cannot hear you. Maybe you're unmuted.
I will give you a little bit different view on that. I think that what Vasco says was the how we can foster innovation. There was more that direction. I would say that predominantly innovation is based on couple of things which are important. One thing is that innovation has to be supported. There has to be bodies, there has to be governments, there has to be other parties which are supporting the creation of innovation. One of the initiatives we went through was this Growing Europe business initiative, which we started in Davos in this year. And this was a combination between financial institutions, technology companies, some unicorns like the UiPath from Romania, and some other companies from about Europe, especially Eastern Europe, which is initiatives to present our marketplace, Eastern Europe, as a place which is really valued to be invested in, and is a place where you can foster innovation, you can buy things from here, we can create added value, and so on and so forth. This means that this is a little bit different view on how to create innovation, because I think that the theoretical creation of innovation, there are many people on this call which are much better than me on that. What I can say is that if all parties are supporting this type of work, then the chance that this work is becoming successful is quite bigger. Second initiative is what we made with iBest and Besco. I think he was explaining about that iBest you like is a name, which I found very nice because I'm a member of the board of this organization. And Besco is the organization of all the startups in Bulgaria. And now we are creating a joint approach how to address the market and how established companies, new companies can foster innovation, can support the creation of products, can really allow good ideas to become reality. Because the ones have the experience how to sell, the ones have the experience how to position, they have the experience about markets, and the other ones has the great ideas. And if you put great minds with great knowledge about how to make the go-to-market and so on and so forth, the chances that certain innovative solutions and things like that are becoming reality is much bigger than if everybody is doing this by himself. And this is something that we are forcing since 2-3 years. And I think that the first results are already reality, but I think that much bigger results is up to come in the next years. And last but not least, she was asking about 3 initiatives. I was looking about the 30 initiatives that I can put into the discussion. I am also a member of the digital committee of the AmCham. And what we decided in the AmCham, this digital committee, together with the e-government committee and so on and so forth, was that we like to push all the chambers with all the markets which are representing all the markets which are present in the country to come together in order to create ways how to support good ideas and innovative ideas to become good on these markets. And this is the third idea that I can announce that we are supporting heavily.
So we went through a couple of resources that we can untap when it comes to innovation. I think the last one that I would like to mention, and I would like to let you comment on, is skilled migration. It seems that all successful innovation ecosystems have made or have benefited from attracting the right talent to their country, and it doesn't matter if they, in our case, if they're going to be Bulgarian that we are trying to return back home, or people with non-Bulgarian background. In the last years, we have seen a lot of initiatives which are targeting the brain drain that happened, exactly trying to bring back Bulgarians home. But I think this is just half of the equation. And still, when it comes to welcoming skilled talents with not Bulgarian background, I think we still have a lot of homework to do. Expats report of hurdles, both formal when it comes to blue cards or other bureaucratic hurdles, and also cultural. In this sense, what do you think that we could change so that we can be maybe more welcoming to the talents that we're going to need to build this innovation ecosystem? And I would like to start with Vladi. What do you think?
Well, of course, first of all, we need to admit where other locations are strong and what they are doing in a proper way. But we should be very clear about our message to the world. Our branding, we already talked about it, what opportunities our destination offers. Perception is reality. It's a cliche, but that's true. I believe for many cities in Europe and around the globe, the branding exceeds the reality when it comes to opportunities for tech and innovative ecosystem. And in Sofia case, it's the opposite. The reality is we have great business conditions, talented ecosystems. I mean, we went through all that. We just need to bring the branding and the PR to match the reality. Probably that's one thing that we should do. Because we have an edge compared to many European and global cities. And even today, discussing all those stuff, the city, together with the business associations, we should have a leading role to attract talents and professionals, consistent and persistent campaigns, the way other prominent cities do it, to attract people, and in general, that will choose to live here, develop career and business. Of course, on the other hand, the city should stay focused on constantly improving the quality of life, because the quality of life, it's actually what makes the people willing to stay in Sofia or in Bulgaria. In the last years, Sofia have managed to start reversing the brain drain. Even Financial Times even published an article dedicated to that. In that sense, we are on the path of success. Hopefully that the COVID ain't gonna play against us, and we are going to be able to sustain what it's been achieved. We are going to be able to keep the people that came here to stay for the quarantine, and we are going to be able to communicate to them that here is a good place. What's more, an increasing number of foreigners also choose to move to Sofia to work and to live here. The business environment and quality of life in Sofia are constantly improving, of course. It's not possible, as you said, to escape from both formal and cultural hurdles. But I think we are on the right track, and we need to communicate that. And it's a proposal. I think I mentioned it once earlier, but as we are together right now with the business association and the city, probably we should really develop a calendar with promotion campaigns, and of course, whatever initiatives we think that are going to be useful to really prepare it to bring more people, more talent, more professionals, and of course, organizations and companies that we think that are valid and important to come here.
Mm. Misho, I know that you have a really huge network of IT professionals, not just in Bulgaria, but also internationally. What do you think is our value proposition for IT people, and how can we improve attracting them and retaining such skilled talent here?
We have very good lifestyle here, but not many people know about that. And it is not only up to the business effort to do that. I think that business is trying to do that in a proper way, but usually to convince someone to go to another place, you need to have real network. You need to know people from the community. You need to meet the local people. And here is probably huge option to improve this, because in many places, really, people who work on IT have no direct contacts with people from Bulgaria. I do not talk about people in areas where are our clients. I'm talking about all other areas worldwide where we have some kind of competitive activities. I mean that other countries from region also are trying to attract people. So we can definitely make a lot of things in this direction, because we can go more actively to events in different countries. We need to invite more people from outside to attend different kind of technical, social, and other activities. When people know other people from our countries, from the same business domain, it is absolutely different. Frankly, people from IT industry are quite bored from recruiters and usually do not recognize some ads from recruiters without some reference from people who they know. So definitely, if we do this in similar way with community, with direct contacts, we can attract many people worldwide, and we can have much better opportunities to attract people here in Bulgaria.
Ivailo, what about you? You're quite happy with the talent here, but can we improve that and maybe become a bit more international? I mean, you yourself have studied abroad. You have probably also a network.
Good question about the talent. I mean, honestly, talent is by definition international. We are in global competition. For sure, I mean, we need, I think Vladi is important here, and people like Vladi, we need very strong and good migration conception and initiatives, how to bring skillful people to the country. Because we started in the last 5 years, I think, with the blue card, many other initiatives to bring people back to the country. I really, by myself, visited, I don't know how many universities in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, just to teach the people which are going there to the university and that has Bulgarian origin, how good our ecosystem is and how can they came back and so on and so forth. We made plenty of job fairs. We make a lot of initiatives to bring people back. I think there was people which are creative. It was, I think many of us are working heavily on that, make our marketplace more attractive for people, either which have Bulgarian original people from other countries which can come, which has cultural proximity and come to our country. I think this is hand in hand with the government. Here we cannot be only by ourselves. We have to work together, in order to make all the conditions, for example, for the blue card, comfortable for the families and for all the people which can move to the country. Then we have to identify other countries for bilateral agreements, and we can give them the possibilities to come over. I believe predominantly in countries with cultural proximity. For the rest of the world, it's a little bit harder and tougher to integrate. But we do have enough places which has the cultural proximity, and we can lead them in the right way, come over. And Bulgaria is an attractive place. Let's be honest. I mean, Sen was talking about how many of our companies has particularly 20% market share in particular areas worldwide. All the other guys was talking about all the achievements we already have. And on the other hand side, the living standards and the life standards in the country are okay. This means that we have to be more creative, and we have to be really working hand in hand with the government in order to make it happen. And we have a very much positive migration in the next years, just helping us to boost exactly this. I'm a little bit scared because now, through the crisis, to the pandemic crisis, we will have some more workless people. I mean, the number of workless people will grow, and it will be again start of the discussions to make sure that our people have work, and to make sure that all the people which, let's say, lost their jobs can come back to the labor market. On the other hand side, I'm fully believer that this will be definitely not enough to cover the needs of our industry, cover the needs of the technology industry, cover the needs of the IT industry. This means that we really don't have to stop the process of making Bulgaria attractive to many other foreign markets. My view on that.
Okay. Asen, I would like to ask you the same question, maybe because I also expect that you have a very international network. Is it, do we have to work with the government, or maybe there is also something that we can do a bit more ourselves?
I think a lot of the companies are already doing it. I personally have, in the companies that I've been leading in the IT sector, brought 10 people from the US back to Bulgaria. I've had 2 CEOs that are non-Bulgarian, 1 American, CTOs, sorry, 1 American, 2 Americans actually, in succession. I think that we've had a lot of experts from different industries come to Bulgaria. They really enjoy it. I think it's a question of getting people familiar and introducing them to the bubble that I think the entire IT industry has now built, and it's large enough for people to kind of enjoy. That isolates a lot of the employees in the industry, and I think a lot of the people coming to Bulgaria from meeting the rougher edges of the Bulgarian institutions, shall we say. And I think that every company is dealing with that on its own. I think there may be an opportunity to have a more structured shared services, so to speak, for the industry that handles that in a more structured way. That will definitely help. I think also a lot of it is a question of marketing, as several people said. For example, we don't have big parties for the different companies. We don't have big parties where all the foreign workers that are already in Bulgaria can meet and share stories. The wives meet the other wives and that sort of stuff. And that sort of meet and greet, however simple it sounds, actually, it makes a huge difference. When somebody comes to visit to decide whether they want to move to Bulgaria, they'll ask 2 questions. What's the healthcare? What's the school? And then they need to see other people living here that make the same move and feel comfortable about it. To tell them that everything's okay, school's going to be okay, healthcare is going to be okay, and then the colleagues, obviously, they've already chosen, the problems are interesting that we're working on, but they need to hear it not from the company, not from the recruiters, not even from their colleagues. They just need to see other people from those countries who are living here and functioning here. And I think it might be as simple as organizing a monthly get-together for the industry. That will have a huge beneficial impact. So I don't think, obviously the government has a role to play in terms of making it easier to relocate employees outside of the EU into Bulgaria. And that's a separate topic that I think we're working on. But apart from the administrative hurdles, I think that it comes down to the industry, the way Vasco and Telerik started organizing the education 10, 15 years ago in the Telerik Academy. I think it comes to the industry as every other problem that we've solved, to solve this problem as well. And I think that having a more organized shared services approach is probably going to be beneficial for everyone.
Thank you. We're pretty much short on time. It's actually just now that we have ended our official screen time, but still we can stay online. And I would like also to ask you some of the questions that we had in the audience. We encouraged people to write them in the chat, and I'm just going to read maybe one or two of them, so that I would suggest that we try to keep it a bit shorter. There is an interesting question from Diana Mikhailov, who is one of the co-founders of the Product Tank here in Sofia. Growing product talent is also a matter of demographics, he says. When we compare Bulgaria to Poland or Ukraine, we simply don't offer the same size of talent pool. What is the best way to address this? Maybe you should raise your hand if you would like to answer so that I can give you the word. Vasco. First come, first serve.
I'm a big believer that you don't need a lot of numbers in order to be successful in something, and you see that time and time again, whether it's small countries with a lot of great chess players or countries that produce top athletes in a specific field, or in business. Look at Estonia. Estonia has produced a number of unicorns. It has a thriving economy. It's times less than Bulgaria in terms of population. It's many times less than Poland. Lots of other examples like this. So in my view, it's not really about how big the number is. It's about the ambition of the people to be number one in the field. So if we put it as a priority, as a community, that we need to create this talent, and we put our collective mind to it, and as Vasco earlier said, we do enough iterations, we will have an outsized impact, just because we'll train for that. And it's not a matter of raw numbers in this respect.
Thank you. Okay, Vasco, it's your turn, and then Vladi.
I just want to add something on top of what Vasco said. One of the things that I really believe in is that the reason why we're looking into the numbers of people, or the number of companies that a fund should invest in order to pay off the fund, and so on and so forth, is just because the statistics so far was such: 1 at 10 or 1 in 100. So the success rate, in my view, is very low. And in my view, the reason for that is not because these are the practical physical limits. It's because we have to put, as Vasil said, more structured way of learning and teaching and practicing those disciplines. I don't believe, and with this I will conclude, I don't believe that the rate of success represents the physical limits. We can do more, and we've shown it a number of times.
Vladi?
Well, exactly. I just want to complement the words of Vasco and Misha before me. Of course, they're like 5 million country, and they have 14 companies in the top 2,000 global companies. I mean, those are large enough companies. But the thing, we are a small country and small system, that means that for a very short time, we really need, we have the chance to change the mindset, to learn what we need to learn, and to rock the world, to flip the coin. So pretty much, if we are a larger country, it's going to take longer. But since we are a small country, it's going to take us a shorter time. We are much more flexible. So small is advantage sometimes. That's what I want to say.
There was another maxim, small is beautiful. Maybe the last question, and then I will suggest that we wrap it up so that it doesn't get too late tonight. But I think this is an interesting perspective from Nadia Terzieva, who asked, what can normal employees and just people in general do to facilitate and accelerate this transition? It always seems like it's the CEOs and the senior managers' job to drive this change, or worse, waiting for the government. So, Ivo. I think you're muted again. Please unmute yourself.
It's absolutely, hi. It's absolutely not needed that CEOs are driving the change. I mean, I think that throughout all the professional life I have, you can drive change in every role you have. If you have some good ideas, you have to find the right ways how to position them. And from my point of view, the most important thing is that we create a culture where ideas can become reality. This is tough. I mean, I'm really serious here because our general mentality sometimes prevent us from the possibility to realize those things. Sometimes it's not helping us to be brave enough to go and show what we really like to achieve and what we really like to do. But if you're able to support those type of a culture, usually the ideas are not coming from the CEOs. Usually the ideas are coming from other people. They're coming from the other people because every one of these guys is clever enough, has enough knowledge, has really ability to think. Sometimes CEOs are getting boring, talking only about numbers, talking about only with shareholders, with investors, and so on and so forth. They are missing really important developments. And therefore, from my point of view, it's up to us. It's up to us to create a culture which help us and allow us make ideas become reality.
Sen and then Vasco.
I want to echo what Ivano said. I think maybe we'll borrow the Nike slogan and just do it. If you have a good idea, do it. Don't wait for the CEO. Don't wait for the government. Get a couple of friends and get it done. And that's how all good things happen. I mean, that's how all the companies happen. Quite frankly, I'd say that how all CEOs on this table happen. We were not born CEOs. Nobody appointed us. We just had a crazy idea and a couple of crazy friends.
Vasco?
Even without starting your own company and jumping on the idea, one of the things that is absolutely in everybody's control is to embrace what Vasco said, the growth mindset, to really invest in themselves so they get better every day, to be positive. So rather than being negative about all the dumb decisions by the CEO, all the imperfections of the world, they seize the opportunity to do something proactive. If something's broken, fix it. And the third thing is just be professionals, always up their game, because this helps their company, this helps them in another environment. Investing in themselves always pays off. And the fourth one, which was related to the previous question, that everyone can do is just to be a good ambassador. Just be a decent human being, promote Bulgaria, show people how good we are as an ecosystem, how capable we are by the virtue of your work, and understand that it's everybody's responsibility to make this place better and to sell it.
It's hard for me to have a closing after such argument. Thank you, Vasco. That was really good. I think these were really good closing words. Thank you for being tonight with us. I'm sure that we can discuss the topic for hours and again and again. And maybe we should also start doing that in a more structured way so that we also create the structures to align this process for innovation, for bringing our tech hub to the next level. I'm looking forward to what would be the result of this discussion and also other initiatives. I'm sure that we will meet you soon again live, not only on the screens, but it was still great to see faces. We have missed, I think, this opportunity. This is from us, from the Big Reset for tonight. We just had the opening, and one of the other stakeholders of this ecosystem from Vasco, BVCA, Product Tank is the last session in the evening. So it's very exciting what is going to happen tomorrow. Of course, there will be recordings of the sessions. I'm sure that some of you must work. And I will ask, you can join the sessions afterwards. You can watch them. We will make it sure that they're uploaded online. Alex is just distracting me right now with funny faces. I would suggest that we close. Come on here. Come with me. So that's it. Yeah, from us for tonight. See you tomorrow at 10. We're starting with Emily Sidney Smith, who is going to switch from Australia, by the way, and hope to hear your feedback also what we've done so far. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
And girls.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.